Welcome back to some professional StarCraft 2. It is once again my great pleasure to introduce to you the Zerg in the red with a drone more than halfway across the map. Starting things off strong, in my opinion, the most entertaining player in the world. It's the final boss. It's Dark. And his opponent for today, the number one player from the United States of America. It's the Battle Mage, Astrea. A tall order as Dark seems in, typical form. A proxy hatchery, a neo-humanity, a best of 3 PvZ. And, we start with the map in darkness and Astrea under threat. The probe. Dark knows exactly. If you like... Oh, he saw it! He knows! If you like sneaky strats and proxy hatches, if you like some top-tier PvZ, and if you like what you see here, well, hopefully you'll like this video. Hopefully you'll subscribe, and hopefully you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get a little bit better. Jimmy, what are we at? Quick, he's 1,000. If we get 1,082 likes on this cast, I'll cast another series. And I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for all the support recently and not so recently. Let's see where this goes. Astrea went with a Cyber Core and a Forge. He scouted it very, very importantly before it finished, which means he's had some time to tailor a response. There's a Rotorn on the way for Dark. He's not going to be able to get any sort of spine crawlers or any of those shenanigans back at home. Probe is in position. While they might not be able to make a permanent door, a temporary one is on the table. The Zealot, if anything, will get stuck behind. That is a cannon on the way for Astrea, who has now, he's kind of shut this down. There is a follow-up, but he sent another probe across the map, and he was able to spot Dark has gas. He has no expansion. All Astrea has to do is hold the line here. This is kind of the checkpoint against Dark, where you're, well, either you defend his early cheese or you don't. And so far, I know I really narrowed down the options there, but this is Dark's classic move against the foreign players, aka non-Koreans, who he thinks, well, most players he thinks he can beat pretty easily. But if he's particularly confident, this is one of the most common strategies we see him bring out. But Astrea, not gonna fall over so easily here. Looks like a very calm response. Honestly, he's looking really good. He's taking it very seriously. He's got 21 probes, and he shut this down pretty much before it started. As long as these stalkers don't get caught outside of the base and the Ravager count stays low enough, he's spread out his cannons so they can't all be gunned down alongside a single set of corrosive biles. Beautiful dodge on the biles there. Zerglings trying to come in, but they ain't having it. When do we see... From Dark. He's like, all right. Well, a strong game one, as Dark is shut down before he could even get started. And the American Protoss shows that he's not going to crumble so easily. Well, that was abrupt. Well, not really abrupt, but almost a non-starter there as Astrea. Yeah, he's dealt with it before. He knows Dark. He's had enough of that. Let's see what we get as we go into game 2. Astrea racks up a point on the board. Dark, Ron Grasvin now, a bit more macro-oriented, is forced to take his third, as we know. Most of the time, except unless Zergs go for the 15 hatch, the extractor trick into 15 hatch before Overlord, which has kind of become the standard. I'm kind of surprised Dark didn't go that direction, but just takes the third. You either get their natural or your third is the common feeling in this matchup, but there are some little tweaks happening to the meta, but overall ZVP is relatively figured out at the moment. I wonder if Astrea has something to bring to the table. I don't know if I'd... There are two flavors of Protoss overall. That... now, that it doesn't mean that a Protoss can't be in both camps, but generally, the two flavors of Protoss are YOLO Toss and Shield Toss. Shield Toss, like, for example, stats, Showtime. I think Neeb was a pretty good example. Astrea, I think, falls into this category more often. But Shield Toss are the, I have my solid build, I have it figured out, I'm going to try to defend, instead of relying on something like YOLO Toss, which more than any other race, stylistically relies on surprise and a set of builds that are so unpredictable that you can't really bring a prepared response until you scout them, if you're able to scout them. These include much of the time max packs, though not always. Hero, much of the time as well. I'd say, honestly, the majority of successful Zest, historically, Trap, a lot of the time. Most of the most successful Protoss have combined the two schools of thought, but generally trending towards the more surprise factor, as simply Protoss units and tech are very expensive in comparison to their Zerg and Terran counterparts overall, but in turn very powerful, which is why, especially in those best of ones on the ladder, you get a lot of complaints about how difficult it is to hold, I don't know, charge lot all in, DTs, proxy void ray, what have you. Protoss gets a lot of guff for their widespread of sharp and gooey cheeses. But when you go into a best of 3, best of 5, when your opponents have played against you a few dozen times, you start to run dry on those strats. That doesn't mean you can't have kind of a backlog or a playbook to pull from, but it does become difficult. Ooh, dark. Astrea ends up canceling the base. Doesn't want to risk the adept. So, but we're back to the classics here. I would put Astrea further into the Shield Toss camp. A player who relies on really solid mechanics and essentially reacting and overwhelming their opponent. And here we see the cookie cutter. The standard triple Oracle into, can I get that Twilight and Forge, Astrea? Momentarily, I believe. There's the Forge. +1 takes a little longer. Alright, burns his way through. Keeps both Oracles alive, coming back for a little more. Really good Oracle mic right there. But there is no repairing. Probe standing by. Thank you, Twilight, Forge. And a fourth. A Foracle build. Maybe just wants to have a couple at home. The Oracles, honestly, strong single-digit numbers if you use them well, and I think the Battle Mage uses them better than most. You're going to find value from them. The question is that value greater than getting the rest of your army together? Because Dark has a tendency to pull unit compositions apart at the seams and directly from the front. And if you spend too much time building oracles, that's a lot of time not building anything else. So Dark right now, he absorbed the drone losses, now has a 60 to 53 drone lead and counting, though Astrea is still building 3 at a time. Charge is the choice over Blink. So, is he mining all the gases still? Yes. Are we going to see a very quick Templar Archives? Storm could be on the horizon, as he's not adding any. He only has 2 gates, so you can only warp in so many zealots off of 2 gates. I'm not a mathematician, all right, but off of 2 gates, you can't get very more than 2 zealots every 30 seconds or so. So 4 more gates on the way. He's got 450 gas in the bank. He's building 2 more. There's the Templar Archives. Thank you very much. Looks like we may have a storm on the horizon, as Astrea, his signature Templar. Meanwhile, Dark with an infestation pendant. I have my own suspicions about that. Yes, it may very well be for a hive, and he's already started the Hydralisk Den. But Swarmhouse, Ricky and the boys We've already gone past the entire length of the previous game with only oracles burning through here. It feels like, all right, now we'll play the game. The gate count growing dramatically. Warp gates opening up at the 3rd. Something of a wall off there. Storm begins. 3 Templar being warped in. +2 melee for Dark. That dangerous up. Where's the Baneling nest, Dark? Oracle's still finding progress. 14, 15 drones in the production tab. Dark. His counter to losing a ton of drones is building 2 tons of drones, which you gotta respect as a quantity having a quality all its own sort of player. No swarm hosts. How much has Dark even said? Well, he sees the Templar. Overseer gets through the whole base. I believe he saw the Templar archives as well, which, I mean, either way, it's pretty clear Storm is going to be the choice. Kind of surprised we didn't see the swarm host here, as it does seem like a pretty solid time for it. It's just, Storm can deal with the Locust, but it's kind of wasted if you're able to be offensive, because the Locust recharge faster than you regain the energy for Storm. Well, Storm zones out the Zerglings, which will now rotate around towards the 3rd. Stasis triggered. Dark understands the danger. Revelation on everything. How many gates? 9 gates so far. Maybe a little light on it. With 75 probes going on a 4th base. Hydras. Adaptive talents. Lurker speed and burrow speed. Adrenal glands. Groove spines. A little bit of everything. Lisks and lings and lurkers. Always dangerous to the Protoss, but Astrea is willing to meet them head on. He's got the right army for it. He's got plenty of oracles for revelation and for controlling the map here. But Dark is building a Nidus network. He's going to try to throw this into chaos. It's going to be on Astrea to defend all these locations, including his main. He's already got a fleet beacon queued up, as well as another Stargate. So it looks like he wants to go straight to the carriers, but what he doesn't know very much can hurt him. There is an Overseer already in oversight mode. I forget if that's the actual name. Anyway, sieged up on the edge of the main. With a little bit of extra vision, and to make sure it doesn't move. And there's nothing there. Oh, a changeling gonna spot things. Will Astrea realize? He's building the Death Ball. He's got 10 Templar. Oh my, Dark gave it away. He gave it away with the changeling. Astrea's not falling for that. I can't believe he gave it away with the changeling. The changeling was so suspicious that Astrea is now building pylons on the edge of the main. Come on, Dark. Not that he's relying on the Nidus to get the damage done, but it does feel pretty obvious. Not even in hindsight. It seemed pretty obvious in foresight there. But now the pylons are in place, so Dark should have some additional trouble. But just because he sees it coming doesn't mean he can stop it. The probes are pre-pulled. Recall. But the lurkers! This was a decoy! The lurkers are coming in towards the 3rd. But the Sim City here, just a couple Hydras. Is that enough to take out the Oracles? Not quite. He bashes through the Nidus. The surviving Oracle runs out of energy. Here comes Dark from the north. Astrea has defended the main. He's taking damage at the 3rd. The Storm's going to soften up the lurkers. That may end up being an escape Nidus. Losing 13 drones so far, or probes so far. Zerglings overrunning the 4th. Dark still slicing through the 3rd. The army in between getting ripped apart by Zerglings. Only a couple Templar and Immortals will survive. Needs an Archon or something in the middle there. Merges just in time. Zerglings into the natural. Zerglings have taken out the 4th. And the lurkers have shredded the 3rd. And Dark may not have won the game, but he's done a whole lot of damage. And he's taken none at home. Dark now showing that the proxy hatch was not the extent of his strategic prowess, but instead just the tip. And now he's driving the spear of the lurkers deeper, as we see more and more. Astrea has done a great job of keeping his army together, but how can he ever fight back against the swarm? Another attack into the main. The stasis is good. The storms are great. The immortals are holding. The lurkers trying to get damage done, but the stasis force field actually making a huge difference here, and carrier has arrived. Dark is rebuffed at what was once known as the third base. Another storm. He storms his Templar almost to death. Gets a merge up. One Archon down. +3 ground attack. Astrea holding. But the Zerg are still pushing forward. Dark's onslaught continues. There are 10 immortals on the field. Another storm. But the Zerglings just run right through it. He doesn't care how many he loses, as long as he's able to push forward with the rest of the army. The Immortal's doing a great job, but is it great enough? Still some oracles. The shields are stripped away on the Nexus before it even completes, and the HP is soon to follow. The Revelation is good, the ground army, the Immortals, but he escapes into the Nidus. Astrea has held the core of his army together. He even still has 67 probes, which is incredibly impressive considering the state of the game. An Immortal patrolling the main. It looks like he's going to deal with the Overseer and the Nidus. Astrea? Of all the times. He does have +1 air attack. He doesn't have contaminate on the main. Does he think that's a mothership? It's possible. Though it has an extra little animation if it is a mothership. But why not? You have the energy. Why get feedback? Banelings just waddling in. They are +2. +3, actually. They do terrible, terrible damage. And here comes Dark again. The onslaught continues. He had to regroup for a few moments, but those moments have passed, and now Vipers are on the field. The night is cleared up in the main. Storm hits a whole lot of the Hydras, but the Vipers are still waiting for their moment. They won't have to wait long. Looking for whatever he can get. Feedback, but the pull already came off. Abduct. The Immortal able to retreat. The Zerglings pinning it down as Dark, carving his way through, yanks out a carrier. No interceptors left anyways. Archon's working on it. Abducts the carrier, but it's already dead. Another Archon yanked into the fray. Dark supply is barely moving below 190. The Queens have arrived to support the push. Instead of hitting every angle, he's driving right down the center. In Siege Tank Canyon, it's become Lurker Canyon here, as Astrea realizes it's not going to get any better. The storms coat the front line, but the Lurkers survive it. The Queens, the Transfuses are just too much. The angle is too good for Dark. Another Templar tries to storm. The Lurkers weather it easily. Oracle shot down by the vengeful Queens. Another attack towards the right side. The 2 o'clock base going to be taken out alongside 20 probes, and Dark is just carving Astrea up right now. Astrea has done a admirable job of holding it together. But it just wasn't good enough. Dark slices through. Wow, a masterclass. When does Astrea get to fight back? Dark is just... It feels like he flips a switch. It's like, attack. Even though Astrea had vision of every angle of attack, and he actually distributed his army so well, which is a very corporate-sounding way of saying he scrambled to defend all 4 attacks almost simultaneously. At some point, even if you stop the attack, you didn't stop the source. Oh, I'm allergic to such great Zerg play. Dark dismantling the #1 American. I think that is truly one of those situations where it's like, Astrea played great and Dark played better. I don't know if putting together, obviously I don't know, but if trying to go for the mass counterattack, like with Zealots and a War Prism would have panned out better than turtling to carriers. Because if you commit too much on the other side of the map, you just don't have those defenses at home. But on paper, which it's not a board game, but on paper, the carrier Templar army is nearly unbeatable. I say nearly because there is a low single-digit number of Zergs who can dismantle it. Unfortunately for Astrea, he's playing about half of them right now. Dark makes carriers look like a liability. It's a rare game where I see carriers. That's the problem though. Like his spellcaster usage, and that was a relatively low-key game for him there. Only a handful of Vipers, some Queens, no Infestors. Not really relying on the spellcaster so much as the multi-pronged pressure. If the game goes on a little longer, I think we see a lot more Infestors and Vipers. But Astrea just not able to hold enough together. And that's a robo. Yes, worth pointing out. Let's stop talking about the last game, start talking about this one. Come on, Winter. Robotics facility. Which is, rare. That's a rare one right there. Check that one off your bingo card. Wait, did Dark get in with Zerglings and spot it? Not quite. Oh, the Stalker almost pops out in time to deal with it. Gets the Zergling. Other one pinned down by the Adept. Is that a robotics bay? Is this a Ruptor drop rush? My favorite American build. The double barrel shotgun. You load 2 Ruptors into the Prism and you see what you can hit. And then follow that up ideally with some sort of Twilight play. Before they can really get a unit count together. And he hasn't seen the Robo. A second Robo is on the way. So Astrea going to rely on those Ruptors. This can't be Colossi. It has to be, because Colossi, they don't do great against Queens and War Prisms. Also, it has to be Ruptors, right? He's going to show the Prism early, but that's not giving it away. Like, the Prism, this could be anything. I think showing the War Prism so early actually gives away some, gives Dark the wrong idea. He's going to be expecting some sort of, Glaive Adept play or something. This is the right timing for Glaive Adepts. He's actually masking it really well by showing the Prism early. He's making it look very much like Glaive Adepts. And now Dark is building a whole lot of Zerglings, some Ravagers. There are no Glaives on those Adepts, I'm sure Dark noticed. A double Prism? What? Are you okay? Now this. Alright, the Battle Mage is gonna have a lot of danger balls in the air here. Well, this is certainly new. And Dark is only at 43 drones. In order to deal with Glaive Adepts, you have to cut drones early. And Dark understands that. He's cut drones, he's built roaches and langs, and now he has enough units to deal with the Glaive Adepts. Except, key point, no Glaive Adepts. Astrea has pulled this one over on him. Now the question is, will the Ruptors do enough to make up for the, essentially the lost time on everything else? He's sending the Ruptor drop towards the main. The shotgun is loaded. What will he accomplish? The Ruptors pop out, surprise! Gets 6 drones with the first shot. He does take some damage on the... It's a lot of damage on the Prism. Losing anything more than shields does make this very difficult to follow that up. Gravitic Drive on the way. And the other prism out on the map, if nothing else, Astrea giving us a very entertaining style. Another shotgun loaded. Sending out another double Ruptor drop. Spire on the way. The clear counter. Adepts into the third. Gonna get a few more kills. Dark doesn't have a huge amount of drones. He just went up past 50. Prism in the main. Fires off a volley. Queen takes the brunt of it. Will not be taken anymore. Another shot. Looking for more. Fires off a shot. Tries to split the difference. Softens up a Queen. Spire halfway done. Gravitic drive. Nearly there. Astrea gonna wall off back at home. The Overlord will spot that, and that is something of a tell. Astrea putting it all together. Another volley. Knocks out the Queen, recalls the Ruptors. They'll be stuck behind the wall, though. Well. Now, this army. A fierce-looking one. Yeah, the Ruptors are stuck. Maybe he can get a Prism out. He does have a Colossus. Very nice to help clean up all the Zerglings. But only one. Speaking of only one Muta on the way. Unfortunately, the Ruptors can't fire through the wall here. Transfuses a Spore. Astrea's on limited time only, but his army supply is quite intimidating. That is a lot of Protoss. And there are no upgrades for Dark on the ground. He juggles he pulls 2 Ruptors back into the Prism. The hard wall will hold for now. Double Colossus on the way. The Muta count is rising dramatically. If he gets enough Mutas, he can either go for the economy and go into a crazy base trade scenario. There are no Blink Stalkers. There's nothing to stop the Mutas directly. He can deflect with the Stalkers, but the Mutas can always fly away. He fires a Disruptor at his own front door. Get off my lawn, says Astrea. And he marches across the map. He is on a limited time only policy here. He's got to get the damage done quick, or not at all, as Dark will be able to counterattack. Dark trying to evade the army, but Astrea will not be pinned down so easily. More Mutas on the way. Zerglings, a single Muta severely annoys a single Adept. The Colossus comes up. The Zerglings don't have trouble breaking through. Shield battery overcharge. Targeted by the Mutas. It's time, Astrea. It's not going to get any easier. The Mutas are working on the economy. Dark trying to set up a base trade that ideally Astrea cannot win. But there's still enough army, still enough Stalkers. There are already drones out on the map. Probes, on the other hand, I think, are going to be pinned back inside the base. The lair is taken out. Astrea splits his army. How long on recall? He does have a recall if he had the energy. But does he come home at any point? Or does he just try to fight? The probe count dipping dramatically. If he gets all the probes, Astrea's options become very limited. But the probes are escaping! The probes are getting out! I can't believe this is what... I mean, I can. I very much can. But Dark has already re-expanded. The Disruptors are still intact. It's 22 Stalkers. Wow, 17 Mutas. No upgrades for anyone. Speed on Prisms and Zerglings. Astrea has not rebuilt his base. And is being revealed. Oh, he's got to build a building on the other side of the map! You gotta build a building! He knows that, he knows that, he knows. Right? Yes? Astrea? Oh no. Oh no. No. You gotta build a building! Astrea gonna rebuild the Nexus. Alright, here we go. Wow, okay. Astrea at 97/0 supply. Which means he's lost a whole lot of pylons. Dark. No, not a whole lot. Let's be clear. All of the pylons. There is no blink. He knows Dark is not being revealed. So, I don't think you can just sit back. You have to do something. You have to find... Oh, the Observer. Does he have... Is there an Overseer? No. He can't kill the Observer. Which, the Observer may very well Oh, no, 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 no. No, he's got to go out. He's got to go. Problem if he splits his army poorly? No, no. Astrea sees most of the cards, but he has very few left to play. Dark is actually a little more in the dark about it. He doesn't know exactly how much money Astrea has. There's still a he managed to unburrow a spore, which is something. Wait, did the disruptors fire? There's still enough. Yeah, he's got to go. He's going to kill some of the drones. Like, he can't let any more Zerglings come out right now. Awkwardly, the mineral wall here. The mineral wall makes a huge difference. The problem is the base itself. The base itself. He recalls the prism. They're both mining again. What a crazy situation. Dark has the mutas. Mutas are the ultimate base trade unit. He wants to do a Colossus drop. The gravitic drive pay it off here. You gotta be... Dark cannot be allowed to rebuild anything. Those mutas are so dangerous. But they're not going to win on their own. Astrea has to partition his army perfectly. Astrea's army beats Dark in a straight-up fight. Like on the open field or any sort of decent choke point. I think Astrea has enough. By a little bit. The disruptors are key, but the stalker count, 1 for 1, the stalkers will beat the mutas. But if it drops under that number, or the stalkers are alone against mutas and like 21 stalkers beat 17 mutas. They do. But there's 44 Zerglings, 10 roaches, and Astrea can't move. He's pinned to his nexus. He's trying to rebuild, but Dark is not supply blocked. He's got his second spawning pool out of the way. A zealot finds the base. There's actually nothing here to defend. He gets 1/18th, 17th of the economy. Some long distance mining. There's a prism on the way as well. All right, Dark. Now remember, okay, I think we need to show the Astrea cam for a while because people are gonna get the wrong idea. Point blank fires off the shotgun, but the Zerglings are able to get a... Oh, God, that's really sad. Oh, that War Prism. Well, if the mutas come back for it, yeah, I think we need, like, you need to know how stressful this situation is. From our position as observers, yeah, we can see that Astrea needs to go. All right, and then we have a little less sympathy as we realize Astrea using the Diva announcer. But he's pinned down the muta location. He's still got a few units in... Oh, no, he used the Selecto Army. He recalls back. Dark! Oh, well, he actually, the recall walled off a few of the units. The Immortals are going to get taken out, but if he's able to pin down some of the Zerglings, and he is... fires off a Ruptor shot. Fades into the... Oh, that's huge. Oh, those are huge. Those 2 Ruptors. But, 2 probes. 0! No! No! Oh, no! Those were the last probes. Dark doesn't know that. But now Astrea cannot, without losing half of his supply, cannot rebuild any probes. Oh, that's a real problem. This will cause some even more dramatic plays here, I'm sure. But, yeah, I think it's necessary to watch in this perspective, because you really need to understand the position these players are in, and there's no way to do it without the lack of vision here. Now, on the other hand, there's Dark, of course, who can see everything. Dark is omnipotent, and also in-game. Doing so, like, he has so much vision on the map. It's so rough for Astrea, who's losing his only nexus. If he loses, he has no problems to rebuild. Back to the Astrea camp. Who, I mean... Dark is everywhere. And also his units. Like, look at that. Throw a flare up. Oh god. I think Dark is... He's reached checkmate. Or at least check. And if it continues down this road. Because he's able to rebuild any amount of Zerglings. Astrea is literally unable to rebuild anything. He may eventually lose enough units to rebuild probes, but if he doesn't have the Nexus, oh. It's a disaster. Dark's done it. Astrea was not able to pin down enough of the Zerg. He's running out of buildings. He's running out of hope. The mutas will pin it down. The stalker count 12 to 14 mutas now. Dark, I think as a matter of principle, and also the place he'd least expect, he's re-expanded to his main. Dark, the Lord of Chaos. I think Astrea did quite a great job with what he had. He brought Dark to this position, but can you hit observers with splash damage from the mute? Like, could he attack his own mutas and potentially hit the ops? This isn't even a 40 kill Colossus wandering on looking for an opportunity to do something. This, like, Astrea, I don't know what he's waiting for. It doesn't get better from here. Dark. Not with a bang, but with a bit of a whimper. Will claim the series 2-1. He throws Astrea into a world of darkness with no probes and no hope. But what a dramatic one. Proxy hatch into full-on zero-income base trade. Truly a world of darkness. I think Astrea showing us why he's claimed that top spot and why he has qualified for GSL, but Dark is still Dark. And with that profound wisdom, I leave you. I hope I made your day, though, a little bit better. Thank you for watching. 1,082 likes to cast another series. Get in on the ground floor. First two, if you made it this far and you're listening to this before autoplay continues. Be awesome if you haven't subscribed yet. Let me know any series you haven't seen me cast that you want to see. And I always love when I get recommended series because of the implication. The implication of, I've already seen this, but I'd like to hear you commentate it, which is actually very flattering. Thank you for that. I don't take a compliment well, but I do appreciate it. I know that. Thank you for watching. Good luck, everyone. I'll see you next time. Stay tuned.